We begin with security matters, where the air component of Operation Hadin Kai has reportedly killed at least 70 Islamic State of West Africa called ISWAP fighters in airstrikes across the southern Lake Chad region. The strikes targeted camps led by notorious ISWAP commander Usman Russia on November 5. The airstrikes hit camps in Kwallaram and Arainna Ciki, located near Jibalaram in Madrid local government area of Borno State. Reports indicate that 79 casualties were recorded at the Kwallaram camp, while several militants were also killed at Arainna Ciki. However, the exact number of fatalities at Ciki remains unknown. Following the strike, ISWAP mobilized additional fighters from its Sambisa wing, regrouping in the areas of Kusuma and Sigir. Still on security matters, bandits attack on Mera community in Algi local government area of Kebbi State has claimed the lives of 15 residents. The attack was confirmed by the Deputy Governor Abubakar Umar Tafida, who expressed condolences to the victims' families. The 15 victims have been laid to rest in a funeral attended by the Deputy Governor, the Commissioner of Police, and the Emir. The incident comes on the heels of recent attacks befalling the country, especially the north, due to insecurity. Let's also tell you that a special independent investigative panel on human rights violations in counterinsurgency operations in Nigeria's northeast region, set up by the National Human Rights Commission in Abuja, has found the Nigerian military culpable of acts of infanticide and killing of community members in Abisade village in Borno State on June 16, 2016. The 7-man panel, chaired by former Supreme Court Judge Justice Abdul Aboki, which investigated allegations of human rights violations in Northeast, including allegations by international news agency Reuters, claiming that the military had engaged in over 10,000 forced abortions in the region, however, absolved the military of the allegations, describing them as false and untrue.
The panel did not find the military culpable, and listen very carefully, did not find the military culpable for the massacre of children in Kukawa, in Gasarwa, in Alagarno, and in many parts of New Marte. But the panel found the military culpable of infanticide and the killing of community members in a village of Abisare in Marte local government area of Borno State on the 16th of June 2000.
Still in northern Nigeria, nearly 2,000 flood-affected families in Borno State have received aid from the Nigerian Society of Red Cross in collaboration with the International Federation of Red Cross. New Central Somalia Kirawa reports that the relief items provided include financial assistance of 100,000 naira per household, as well as essential items such as mosquito nets, blankets, and buckets. These provisions are expected to improve the living conditions of flood victims who have been displaced by the recent devastating floods in the state.
In fact, a lot of things in the back, of which it will help them and their families to at least live a better life after the flood.
Muna fama dai rayuwa sai godiya alhamdulillah, mun dan fara dan gyare-gyaren mu dai. Insha Allah, Allah ya taimaka, mun gode, Allah ya saka da alkhairi.
Gashi mun samu 100,000 da bokitin mu da kayan mu a bako, abu da yawa ne a ciki, ya ma yi yawa ma ka irga ma, dan abun ya fa sai godiya kawai, ba abun fada.
Meanwhile, Kwara State Governor Abba Yusuf has visited the Gwa Erosion Site and pledged to address the environmental challenges affecting the Gayawa community to improve the lives of people in the area. In a statement issued on Saturday, the governor's spokesperson, Sanusi Tofa, said the governor made the pledge during a visit to the site on Friday. Yusuf stated that the visit marked a new chapter in the journey to address the persistent environmental challenges that have plagued the community at Bubula Gayawa in Ungogo local government also impacting parts of Nasarawa and Fagi local government areas for decades. The governor revealed that the project would be conducted through the Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes program under the supervision of the State Ministry of Environment in partnership with the World Bank and the federal government. Away from that, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has denied reports that she is organizing a national prayer event. In a statement, her office said the rumors circulating on social media are unfounded and misleading. It added that while the First Lady is a strong advocate for prayer, she also believes it is a personal choice and every Nigerian should take responsibility for praying for the country. Oluremi Tinubu advised the public to verify any news or events through official channels to avoid spreading misinformation. Let's now tell you that in the light of the recent detention and quizzing of the immediate past governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission regarding alleged misappropriation of 1.3 trillion naira from the 13% derivation fund between 2015 and 2023, Ijaw National Congress Worldwide President Professor Benjamin Okaba has called upon the EFCC to expand its investigation to include Nigeria's immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari concerning allegations of billions of dollars in crude oil exchange loans for federal road construction and rehabilitation in the Niger Delta region and beyond. Professor Okaba revealed this in an exclusive interview with News Central correspondent Austin Azu in Asaba, Delta State capital, where he expressed concern over the underdevelopment of the Niger Delta region despite its role as the nation's economic backbone. Here is his report.
Following the transfer of power to Governor Sheriff Oborevori on May 29, 2023, numerous interest groups promptly initiated calls for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to investigate former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa's 8-year tenure through protest, press briefing, and formal letters. The voice of Edwin Clark, prominent leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum and elder statesman, was particularly vocal in calling for an EFCC investigation into Okowa's handling of the 13% oil derivation fund from 2015 to 2023. After months of pressure, the anti-graft agency launched its investigation, inviting and detaining the former governor at its Port Harcourt Zonal Command for an extended period. Though a cross-section of respondents in Asaba, Delta State capital, expressed diverse views regarding the former governor's arrest and detention.
Now, when a citizen of Nigeria is arrested, just like your question, the EFCC or every other security agency has 24 hours to charge that person to court, or in extreme cases, 48 hours. But that has not happened in this case.
Even if, say, they find out, say, even do anything, but by what time, the man try for Delta State. Make I say at least 80% of Deltans can testify that, yes, this man did work.
Professor Benjamin Okaba, president of Ijaw National Congress Worldwide, responded to the development by underscoring the constitutional requirement for present and past leaders to account for their stewardship. He urged the EFCC to pursue a rigorous investigation and extend an invitation to former President Muhammadu Buhari to address the significant foreign debt accumulated during his presidency.
Sometimes when you say you are zeroing on Okowa, what about Buhari? The anti-graft agency, is it made for some persons? Let Buhari come and show us the roads that he constructed with the loans that are making Nigeria to suffer the much we are suffering. Even the current president mentioned it, that he inherited heavy burden. If he inherited heavy burden, who should be held responsible? What is the anti-graft agency doing about that?
Although the EFCC has not issued an official statement, it remains unclear whether the former governor has been released or still being questioned since his detention earlier this week. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
In the meantime, the Ijaw Youth Council has expressed concern over the halting of federal allocations to Rivers State, describing it as politically motivated and aimed at destabilizing Governor Siminalayi Fubara's administration. Spokesman of the IYC, Ambassador Binibe Yerin Princewell, while addressing the issue in Bayelsa State, said the recent federal court ruling suspending funds to Rivers State harms the populace without just cause and weakens democratic principles. He warned that actions like these could lead to identity crisis, societal division, and increased marginalization of the Ijaw people. The IYC has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to respond empathetically and swiftly to address these grievances, stressing the need to prevent further unrest within the Niger Delta region. Away from that, residents of Ruga, a suburb along the airport road in Abuja, have protested against the demolition of their homes by the Federal Capital Territory Administration. And this is coming days after the FCTA task force, known as Operation Sweep, destroyed homes belonging to the residents of Ruga in a bid to clear the area following directives from the Minister of the FCT. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu tells us more.
This is what is left of the Ruga village located in a suburb of the FCT, opposite the Abuja City Gate. From gunshot injuries to displacement of residents, the horrible memories of this demolition operation will linger long in the memories of the affected residents. The demonstration was led by prominent lawyer and activist Deji Adeyanju alongside Vincent Martins Otte, popularly known as Very Dark Man.
Maybe because of one of your friends or one of all these people that have given you money, maybe. Because it's always like that at the end of the day. So next one, we can think about all these people and even think about all these children before you continue this act.
More than 15,000 residents of the FCT in this location alone. You can see here children who their parents are directly affected. You can also see that there is a victim. One of the victims was shot.
Abdullah Mohammed is one of the victims. He didn't just lose his home, he received gunshot wound on the unfaithful day during the demolition operation.
Sun zo jiya za su rusau. Yawwa sun zo suna da yawa mun fara ciccire irin dakunan mu. To sai na samu dan sandan su guda ɗaya na tambaye shi da Allah akwai national ID card na ɓoye shi a cikin silin. Zan je ɗauko ba matsala sai ce mun ba matsala sai na tafi da gudu sai na shiga cikin gidana sai na saka hannuna a cikin silin ina duba national ID card din na yaga kwalima sai ga wani dan sanda ya shigo da bindiga a hannunsa sai ce in fita sai na ce na yi magana da abokin aikinku da Allah ina so zai dan cira national ID card ne tunda na ga konawa kuke in rushewa ake zan iya in an rushe zan cire to kawai sai ya ce wai in fita daga cikin gurin sai na juya ina juyawa kafata ina daga kafata haka na juya kawai ya harbe ni dan sandan a kafa.
Activist Adeyanju called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene on the matter and consider the plight of those displaced by the operation.
We are appealing to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces that Mr. President, you must do something about this, that these people are harassed frequently by members of the FCTA administration, that we are sending a note of warning to people in government and the ruling elite that the only way they sleep and the ruling elite can sleep is if poor people are allowed to sleep. That when poor people are not allowed to sleep, that the rich in the society will not be able to sleep.
Many of the residents here were initially forced out of their homes by insecurity in Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, Katsina, and several other states in the north. However, the so-called thought they would have gotten in the federal capital is now a failed dream. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Now, so you're still there. Let's talk election now. Political parties and candidates in Ondo State have signed a peace accord ahead of the November 16 governorship election. The signing, which took place on Friday at the International Culture and Events Center in Akure, the state capital, was organized by the National Peace Committee, headed by former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar. Some of the parties present at the signing of the peace accord include the All Progressives Congress, People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, Action Democratic Party, and Zenith Labour Party, among others. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, urged the candidates and their parties to commit to a peaceful election.
The sincere hope of the Nigerian Peace Committee that Borno State elections will be free, fair, credible, and peaceful. And every one of us to ensure that we maintain the peace in the country. Because if there is no peace, there is no country.
The National Peace Committee accepted our request to devolve the signing of the peace accord beyond the presidential election to include off-cycle governorship elections in view of the tension and sometimes violence associated with these elections in the past.
Ondo State has been a peaceful state. In fact, even during this campaign, it's been peaceful. And you don't enjoy this in most states when election is almost about a week to the D-Day. But today we are enjoying relative peace.
Well, Franklin Oloni, geopolitical analyst, will be joining us to talk about this further during the course of the news. We'll wait for him. Now, talking party politics still, the Edo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated the caretaker committee members set up by the party's National Working Committee, and they are to run the party's affairs pending the election of new executives. The committee is chaired by Tony Azidbemi, with Henry Duke Tenebi as the secretary. The committee is set as charged with the responsibility of running the affairs of the party in Edo State for a period not exceeding 90 days. That's about 3 months, or till a new executive committee is elected. Speaking at the inauguration of the PDP Secretariat in Benin City, the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, expressed confidence that the party will reclaim its mandate stolen by the All Progressives Congress during the September 21 governorship poll. Now, Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun has called for swift and comprehensive measures to combat the rise in juvenile crime affecting communities nationwide. Speaking at the inauguration of the Steering Committee for the annual IG Conference on Juvenile Crime Prevention in Abuja, Egbetokun emphasized the importance of addressing the issues and root causes primarily linked to family dynamics. Represented by the Assistant Inspector General Mohammed Dankwara, he highlighted the severe impact of youth crimes on communities. Chinedum Ikogwe, Executive Director of the Center for Family Peace, stated that the project aims to tackle the challenges of juvenile criminality, attributing the increase to parental neglect. The initiative will extend to all 36 states, underscoring the urgent need to prioritize youth guidance and family engagement in crime prevention efforts. Earlier, we were joined by Toho Seruwaja, a legal practitioner.
The event that just happened a few weeks ago or last week that resulted the president intervention and also resulted to wide cry is that we had procedural irregularities or procedural hiccup when it comes to juvenile crime. Then if you look at it basically, because when the procedures are not in place, obviously the society will not get to know the implications, or the family or the people involved, stakeholders involved, will not get to know implication of some of these things that occur. Now, the first issue is one, the institution, which is the Nigerian police now, which is the first agents when it comes to the administration of criminal justice, are they aware or are they properly equipped to fight juvenile crime? The answer is no, because several events has exposed it all. Then two, are they also intellectually capable to know what a juvenile crime is, or who can be categorized as a juvenile, and who are responsible or who can be held liable for any offense? The answer is no, because over time, They've disappointed Nigerians when it comes to the opportunity to prove themselves right. The criminal code makes it clear. The criminal code which is applicable in the South makes it clear. Section 30 of the criminal code talks about people who can be held liable for offenses. A child between when he was born, let me give that example, to 7 cannot be held liable for any offense or alleged offense that child would have committed. Then 7 to 12, there are procedures to follow to ascertain if the child is mentally or intellectually capable to have understand the nature of the offense he has committed. So we bring in the procedure of partial liability to that offense. Then when a child is above 12 years, which is the juvenile we are talking about, from 12 to 17, the child is liable. The juvenile is liable for the offense. But there are procedures to follow for such child to be held liable.
The National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening Nigeria's legislature and other democratic institutions. The Director General of the Institute made this known during a workshop on citizen journalism organized for young Nigerian students with the aim of equipping them with necessary skills that will help engage, share opinions, and report responsibly. Our correspondent, Edon Joseph, has more in this package.
The rise of digital technology and social media has democratized information, allowing ordinary citizens to report news, share opinions, and hold institutions accountable. However, this power comes with the responsibility to discern truth from falsehood and separate fact from fictions for meaningful engagements.
The importance of citizen journalism cannot be overstated in today's fast-evolving media landscape.
In a diverse nation like Nigeria, it is crucial for youth to develop the skills needed to engage critically with information that impacts their lives and communities. This need is what has led to the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies to organize this workshop for students in order to build their capacity.
Through this kind of workshop, I want to believe you will all learn critical skills such as online safety, fact-checking, method of scientific verification, and the importance of originality and authenticity in your reporting.
Beyond just the fact that everybody identifies you as Gen Z, you guys talk a lot, you have a lot of energy, you do have a lot of power. But we also know that when power is not well funneled, it can be dangerous. And that's the essence of this training today.
The platform provided by this workshop not only allow learning, but also for practical application of skills learned. Some of the participating students lauded the initiative to learn from experts as they inspire to combat misinformation and disinformation.
It's a great opportunity for us to hear from the legends, from those that are already in the system.
I intend to get knowledge about how I can broadcast the news which I want to be taken out into the public. Yes.
After acquiring these essential skills, it is expected that these young students will become responsible citizens that will share information responsibly. In Abuja for News Central, I am Edon Joseph.
Earlier on the news, we told you that parties and the candidates have signed a peace accord in Ondo State, looking at the gubernatorial election slated for November 16. And now to help us talk more about this and understand it better, I'm being joined by Franklin Oloniju, who is a political analyst. Thank you so much, Franklin, for joining us. Signing of peace accord in Nigeria has been described as an election ritual, even as we've seen parties and their candidates go on to sponsor electoral violence. Do you also align your thoughts with this?
Yes, I think it's a good idea to have parties sign
peace accord because what it does is that it enables them to sign up to conduct that will promote peace before, during, and after the election. Because it is also contingent on them to give that kind of ambience to the electoral process that shows that the peace is necessary for people to even turn out on election day to come and cast their votes. And so if that assurance is coming from the political gladiators, what it does is that it enables them to enable the citizen to have a confidence in the system, in the electoral system, and be able to cast their votes. Yes, in some cases you might find that some candidates will even refuse to sign a peace accord, but it turns on them because people understand that those kind of candidates cannot be trusted to drive the process. I mean, cannot be trusted with the electoral power for them to guide and nurture the process over a period of 4 years. So for me, I don't think it's a waste of time. I think it's something that should be encouraged and something that should be supported for candidates at all time to sign up to the concept of peace accord.
So beyond signing such accords, is there a way we can hold politicians or political figures accountable when after signing they go ahead to make statements or utterances or sponsor acts that spur violence during electoral process?
Well, there may not be a kind of punitive actions that are stated categorically, to hold them accountable, other than their integrity cannot be vouched for. But I think by and large, this document that they end up signing up to, over time, will act as a basis to judge them and will give impetus to the security agents to also hold them accountable.
But we've not seen that happen, Franklin. We've not seen that happen. We've seen these peace accords being signed in several states at the presidential level, at the gubernatorial, at the governorship level, and we see violence, play out, ballot box snatching, disruptions of elections. Aside probably apprehending one or two people, we've not seen any security operative or INEC itself come out to say that, okay, this particular person or this particular party sponsored it, we have apprehended them, we are going to deal with them after conducting an investigation. We've actually not seen that happen.
Well, the system is skewed in a way that makes it impossible for you to hold those at the top of that political ladder accountable for speeches. And over time, most times, you don't find those candidates really coming out to promote violence openly. Where they plan, those mischievous planning in terms of destruction of polling units, smashing of ballot boxes, are planned outside the public glare. And those that carry those activities out, or those instructions, are also political talks that they pay. That sometimes, when you look at the steps or the process of engaging them, cannot be traced directly to those candidates themselves.
So that would mean
when they capture political talk, what you can only get is maybe a middleman that is charged or provide resources to mobilize people to disrupt maybe an opponent's strongholds. And so over time, you find that it's difficult to trace violence directly to those candidates. If you take the example in Edo, where there were rhetorics of, perceived, it wasn't even coming from the candidates. It was coming maybe either from the governor that was saying something around, I don't want to be quoted or something, but was saying something that people thought were not really promoting peace. But they were not the candidates itself. It was not the candidates itself that was saying most of those things. So the process has been perfected by politicians to ensure that they will not be held, rather through their proxies, they do other states.
Well, of course, you would agree with me that elections in other countries, whether or not peace accords are signed, there have been electoral bodies that have stood up and security bodies or architecture that actually stood up to ensure that in some way or somehow it is peaceful. But then if you are going to bring the U.S. election into context, you see how it played out, early votes, real monitoring of vote counts, prompt announcement of results, the fact that, you know, we didn't even see some sort of violence during the course of the election, and there weren't delays, as it were. Why is it that Nigeria's electoral process cannot toe that path to ensure that the outcome actually reflects the will of the people without any form of violence, whether or not a peace accord is signed? Hello, Franklin.
Hello. So I couldn't get that question. Can you just?
So, okay, sorry. So, I get the network glitch. So I said if you're going to put the U.S. election in context in terms of the early votes, the counting of votes, the monitoring of the ballots, the fact that there were no electoral violence of some sort recorded, the prompt announcements, no delays in announcements and the outcome of results and all that. Why is it that Nigeria cannot toe that path in its electoral process from the beginning to the end, whether or not a peace accord is signed?
Well, you see, I think I will still say our democracy and our electoral process is still evolving. What we have seen over time in some little African countries, where you even find out that electoral officers go home with, even the ballot sensitive materials such as ballot papers, and bring them back to the polling units for people to. There are a lot of instances even across Africa where you have the process not really prone to violence. But I think we are not there yet, because election here is a do or die affair to a lot of people, because that is the only source of income for a lot of people, or changing their lifestyle. So it's still seen as a means to an end. But until the education and the maturity among both the electoral management bodies and the people themselves are improved, we may not be able to have those kind of situation where the process will just go smoothly from early ballot like we saw, early ballot voting like we saw in the US, to smoothless announcement of results. But as it is right now, the politicians themselves are the ones that are eating up the system, and they are not allowing people to, they are not allowing the electoral process to go smoothly because of the huge resources they gain, from seizing power from the people. Okay. So until there's a reorientation of the populace and the political class, for them to work to understand that that the people themselves are the greatest voices that should be listened to within the political process, we won't get there. Okay. And so why the side piece are called, it's just sometimes cosmetic. They already know what they want to do. They already have their plan to disrupt the electoral process where it's not paying them, or to cause violence where they feel that, but what can we do? We just need to continue to do this until we get to a level where we will, not see election as a do or die affair, not see election as the end, but as a means to good governance. And people the politicians will understand that they are going to serve, not to go and steal, because you get political power not oftentimes to provide good governance, but to enrich yourself and your colleagues. And that's why this is bad. Like this bad situation right now in Nigeria. All right,
Franklin Oloniju, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. We hope that we'll be able to get there acceleratedly at some time soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
We now head to East Africa, where devastating flooding in South Sudan has affected around 1.4 million people, with more than 379,000 displaced, according to a United Nations update that warned about an upsurge in malaria. Aid agencies have said that the world's youngest country, highly vulnerable to climate change, is in the grip of its worst flooding in decades, mainly in the north. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said about 1.4 million people were affected by floods in 43 counties and the disputed Abyei region, which is claimed by both South Sudan and Sudan. Now, Somalia has insisted on Saturday that Ethiopia will not be part of a new African Union peacekeeping mission as the two nations remain locked in a dispute that has sent shivers through the Horn of Africa. African Union troops have been engaged in a fight against Al-Shabaab jihadists in Somalia since 2007 with the aim of eventually handing over security responsibility to national forces. The current AU force in Somalia, known as ATMIS, which includes about 3,000 Ethiopian troops, is due to wrap up at the end of the year to be replaced by a revamped mission called AWESOME. Somalia's Defense Minister Abdulkadir Mohammed Noor revealed in an interview that Ethiopia is the only government they know of so far that will not participate in the new mission because it has violated their sovereignty and unity. Outside Africa, we tell you that the World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus has highlighted the escalating threat of ransomware attacks on healthcare facilities. Speaking during an address to the United Nations Security Council, Ghebreyesus warned that these cyber attacks go beyond financial disruption. The WHO Director General emphasized the severe impact of cyber attacks on hospitals and healthcare services, calling for urgent and collective global action to address this growing crisis.
Let's be clear at the outset that ransomware and other cyber attacks on hospitals and other health facilities are not just issues of security and confidentiality. They can be issues of life and death. At best, these attacks cause disruption and financial loss. At worst, they undermine trust in the health system on which people depend and even cause patient harm and death. The digital transformation of health systems, the high value of health data, increasing demands on health systems, and resource constraints all contribute to making health facilities attractive targets to ransomware attacks. These attacks target the digital infrastructure of health facilities, disrupt or shut them down in order for access to be returned. The perpetrators demand a fee.
Now, an explosion at a railway station in Pakistan's Balochistan province has killed at least 17 people and wounded dozens more. The explosion happened as passengers waited on a platform at around 8:45 a.m. on Saturday in the capital of Balochistan province, which borders Afghanistan and Iran. Pakistan's largest and poorest province, resource-rich Balochistan, is home to separatist militants. Militants have in the past targeted energy projects with foreign financing, most notably from China, accusing outsiders of exploiting the region while excluding residents from the profits. One of the militant groups, the Baloch Liberation Army, frequently claims deadly attacks against security forces or Pakistanis from other provinces, notably Punjabis. In business, Nigeria's oil imports have dropped significantly by 35% in the second quarter of 2024, totaling $2.79 billion, down from $4.31 billion in the previous quarter. And this is according to the Central Bank of Nigeria's quarterly economic report. The reduction is attributed to the ongoing structural and economic adjustments following the removal of fuel subsidies. The overall value of merchandise imports also contracted by 20.59% to $8.64 billion. Domestic production fell by 4.51% due to persistent challenges like oil theft and vandalism. However, global crude oil prices provided some relief, with Nigeria's benchmark crude rising to $86.97 per barrel. Crude oil and gas exports accounted for 87.38% of total export earnings. In sports, Mamelodi FC claimed a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Richards Bay in the Carling knockout semi-final match at the King Zulutini Stadium in Durban on Saturday. Neither goalkeeper was tested in the opening 15 minutes of the encounter as both teams struggled to keep possession in the final third in order to try to create goal-scoring opportunities. However, the deadlock was broken in the 27th minute following a mistake by Shepo Omabua, whose poor back pass was fired on by his namesake Shepo Moshigo, and Mamelodi were 1-0 up at half-time. Richards Bay were reduced to 10 players in the 84th minute after Lakusani Intetwa was sent off, and Mamelodi held on to win 1-0. They will lock horns with either Mamelodi Sundowns of Marumo Gallants at the Toyota Stadium on November 23. Let's also tell you that Vinicius Jr. scored a hat-trick to help Real Madrid bounce back from 2 consecutive home defeats with a 4-0 win over Osasuna in La Liga on Saturday, hammered by Barcelona in the League Clasico and then outplayed by AC Milan in the Champions League. Carlo Ancelotti's side badly needed this confidence-boosting victory at the Santiago Bernabeu. The Spanish and European champions thrashed Osasuna thanks to Vinicius' treble, while Jude Bellingham scored his first goal of the season for Los Blancos. Second place Madrid reigned in Barcelona's lead at the top of La Liga to 6 points before the Catalans visit Real Sociedad on Sunday. Brighton have appointed German Daniel Nitzkowski as assistant head coach. The 47-year-old will leave his role as head of the German Football Association's coaches training program to join Brighton in January, subject to being granted a work permit. Fabian Herzela, who took over as Brighton manager this summer, trained under Nitzkowski. Nitzkowski is a former assistant coach at Bayer Leverkusen and also managed Germany's under-21 team. PGA Tour star Emilio Gonzalez have been disqualified from WTT Championship in Mexico. He was disqualified midway through the Worldwide Technology Championship at the El Cardonal Golf Course. The Mexican, who hit an opening round of 73 and a 2-under-71 in the second round, was disqualified when he opted to play a provisional shot before heading out to search for his mishit ball. Gonzalez was handed a reprieve after his initial tee shot was found within the allotted 3-minute period. According to Rule 18.3 of the provisional ball in the WWT rulebook, a player must make a reasonable effort to identify the ball clearly and determine whether the founded ball is or not. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. Scores of ISWAP militants killed by Nigerian military airstrikes in Lake Chad area. Human rights panel indicts Nigeria's military over deaths of children in Nigeria's northeast. We also told you that as relations sour between both nations, Somalia says Ethiopia will not be part of a new AU mission to fight Al-Shabaab. Don't forget to watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekan Onabanjo.